Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Recently, we've been hearing in the news that the number of Muslims has surpassed the number of Christians. But is that actually true? Stick around until the end of this video, and I'll reveal the surprising truths behind this claim. Today, we're diving into a question that's been making waves among demographers. Will Muslims surpass Christians as the largest religious group by the end of the century? These two faiths have significant and widespread adherents, with Christianity being the largest religion globally, particularly in regions like the Americas, Europe, Sub-Saharan Africa, and parts of Asia and Oceania. Islam, on the other hand, is most predominant in regions such as the Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, and parts of Southeast Asia. The question of whether Muslims will surpass Christians in terms of global population has become a key point of discussion among demographers, and it's driven by factors such as fertility rates, age structures, migration patterns, and even religious conversion trends. Overall, the current trends indicate that while Christianity is still the largest religion globally, Islam is growing at a faster pace. This growth is primarily driven by higher fertility rates, a younger age structure, and population growth in Muslim-majority regions. As a result, many demographic experts predict that unless there are significant changes in fertility rates, migration patterns, or religious conversion trends, the Muslim population will continue to grow at a faster pace than the Christian population in the coming decades. Researchers have proposed several hypotheses to estimate when this shift might occur, and under what conditions Muslims could potentially outnumber Christians in the coming decades. To understand this, we need to break down the factors contributing to this demographic change. One of the most significant driving forces behind the potential population shift is the difference in fertility rates between Muslim-majority and Christian-majority countries. Fertility rates, the average number of children born to women of childbearing age, have been dropping in many Christian-majority countries, particularly in Europe, North America, and parts of East Asia. In these regions, fertility rates have fallen below the replacement level of 2.1 children per woman, and with populations aging rapidly, overall growth in the Christian population is slowing or stagnating. On the other hand, many Muslim-majority countries still have higher fertility rates, even though these rates have been gradually declining in some places. Countries like Afghanistan, Niger, and Mali have fertility rates well above 6 children per woman, which ensures rapid population growth in these regions. Even in countries like Egypt, Turkey, and Pakistan, where fertility rates are declining, they remain significantly higher than the global average, especially when compared to many Christian-majority countries. The hypothesis here is that as fertility rates continue to decline in Christian-majority countries and at a slower pace in Muslim-majority countries, the gap between the two religious populations will likely widen, with the Muslim population growing faster in the coming decades. Age structure also plays a critical role in shaping future population trends. The median age of Muslims is younger than that of Christians. For instance, the median age for Muslims is approximately 24 years, while for Christians, it stands around 30 years. This difference in age means that Muslims have a larger proportion of people in their childbearing years, which contributes to higher fertility rates and faster population growth. In contrast, many Christian-majority countries, especially in Europe and North America, have aging populations, with a significant portion of people over the age of 50, which slows overall population growth. This disparity in age structures suggests that the Muslim population, particularly in regions like Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, will continue to grow at a much faster pace than the Christian population. Demographic momentum, driven by younger populations entering their reproductive years, is a key factor in this growth. Projections suggest that the Muslim population could continue to grow at a much faster rate than the Christian population, potentially surpassing it by the second half of the 21st century. Migration patterns are another factor that could influence the future distribution of religious populations. In recent decades, there has been significant migration from Muslim-majority countries to Europe and North America, contributing to the increase in Muslim populations in traditionally Christian-majority countries. However, migration doesn't change the global population numbers. It only shifts where people live. While Muslim migration into Europe and North America may increase the share of Muslims in these regions, it will not drastically affect the global population size of either group. Similarly, while Christians also migrate, their migration rates tend to be lower than those of Muslims, and many Christian migrants move from developing regions like sub-Saharan Africa to more developed countries where fertility rates are already lower. This suggests that while migration may alter the regional distribution of Muslims and Christians, it will not have a significant impact on the global growth of either population. Conversion, or religious switching, is another potential factor that could influence population numbers, but its impact is expected to be relatively small compared to fertility rates and age structures. There have been reports of some Christians converting to Islam in certain regions, particularly in Europe and sub-Saharan Africa, but these numbers are not expected to significantly alter the global balance between Christianity and Islam in the short to medium term. Conversely, there are conversions from Islam to Christianity as well, particularly in areas like the Middle East and South Asia, but these also occur at a much smaller scale. The hypothesis here is that religious switching will have a limited impact on global population projections, and the main factors driving the population growth of both religions will remain fertility rates and age structure. As the Muslim population continues to grow, we can expect significant regional shifts in religious demographics, particularly in regions such as Europe, sub-Saharan Africa, and the Middle East. By 2050, Muslims are projected to make up around 10 to 12% of Europe's total population. Countries in Western and Eastern Europe, such as France, Germany, and the UK, are expected to see Muslim populations of 15 to 20% due to both higher fertility rates within immigrant Muslim communities and continued immigration from Muslim-majority countries. This shift will likely influence social, political, and cultural debates about integration and identity in Europe. Meanwhile, sub-Saharan Africa will see continued surges in both Muslim and Christian populations, with Islam remaining dominant in many countries, particularly in regions like Nigeria, Somalia, and Sudan. The Middle East and North Africa, MENA region, will remain a stronghold for Islam, with Muslims continuing to make up around 95% or more of the population. However, despite these regional patterns, the growing Muslim presence in non-traditional regions like Europe and the Americas will play a significant role in shaping the global religious landscape. Meanwhile, the Christian population will see slower growth, largely due to aging populations and declining fertility rates in many Christian-majority countries. Secularization trends in Muslim-majority countries are also worth considering. In a manner similar to many Christian-majority countries, there has been a growing trend of secularization in parts of the Muslim world, particularly in urban areas. As secularism, individualism, and materialism gain traction, religious adherence tends to decline, which can slow the population growth of religious groups. Countries like Turkey and Iran have already experienced secular trends, with many young people opting for secular lifestyles and delaying marriage and childbearing. In other parts of the Muslim world, younger generations may identify less with organized religion, or even with the idea of being spiritual but not religious. Given these factors, projections suggest that Muslims could potentially surpass Christians in global population size between 2050 and 2080. According to some demographic models, by 2050, the Muslim population could make up approximately 30% of the global population, while Christians might represent about 30.3%. The gap between the two religions would be extremely narrow by that time. If current trends continue, by 2070 or 2080, the Muslim population could make up around 33 to 34% of the global population, while Christians might represent around 31%. These projections suggest that the second half of the 21st century is the likely time frame for Muslims to surpass Christians in terms of global population size. However, it's important to note that these projections are based on current trends, and they are subject to change depending on future shifts in fertility rates, migration patterns, and socio-political factors that could affect both religious communities. Looking even further ahead, by 2100, the global Muslim population is projected to represent between 35 to 40% of the world's total population, while Christians might stabilize at around 30 to 32%. This would mark a significant shift, with Muslims potentially becoming the largest religious group by the end of the century. This shift is largely due to the continued dominance of Islam in regions like the MENA, South Asia, and parts of sub-Saharan Africa, where population growth is expected to remain strong. Assuming that the global population will be around 8.1 billion by the end of 2024, a rough estimate based on current growth trends, the Muslim and Christian populations will be as follows. Muslims, approximately 2.0 billion people. This is about 24.7% of the global population. Christians, approximately 2.5 billion people. This corresponds to approximately 30.9% of the global population. According to this analysis, reports that there are now more Muslims than Christians are false. However, you should not be upset about this, because as the information we have provided shows, the number of Muslims is increasing day by day. According to the analysis, it is certain that in the next 20, 30 years, the number of Muslims will exceed the number of Christians. But Allah willing, this may happen sooner. Don't forget to write Insha'Allah in the comments if you really want it like me. Thank you for exploring this fascinating topic with us today. The future of global religious demographics is being shaped by many complex factors, and your curiosity is keeping these discussions alive. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to see more thought-provoking content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on your notification bell. Together, let's continue to explore the truths that shape our world. See you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.